You guys ready to make some rose cookies? We're gonna start out by outlining the cookie with a medium consistency red icing. As soon as we've piped the outline, fill in the center area with the same icing. Keep your tip low to the cookie so it kind of pushes the icing out around it, giving it a puffy look. And I feel as long as we don't leave lots of gaps, it actually smooths in better. If you need to smooth it with a scribe, go ahead and do that, and then let the entire cookie dry for about 15 minutes. Come back with a green medium consistency icing and fill in the leaf area of the cookie. I used a number 2 tip here, but you could use a number 3 tip as well. I mean, you could go crazy and use a number 4 tip. I won't judge you. So outline it the same and then fill in as well. At this point, we want to let it dry for at least an hour so we don't go bumping it on the next step. The next step is adding the details, the petal details to the rose. I actually have a printable image that you can use. I'll link to it down below. You can just pop it into a projector, whether it's a Pico or a KK, and use that to, if you want to be perfect about all of these lines. But the great part about this design is that we're gonna kind of mess about with all the details so much that it really doesn't need to be perfect. If you compare the lines that I'm piping right now to the printable image, you'll see that they're really not the same. And that's okay. It's a great design for that because you don't have to worry about it looking exactly perfect to begin with. So once you have all of these vague petals piped in there, go back over the detail lines that you just piped and kind of give them a little bit more dimension. You can pipe just squiggly across them if you want, just give some bumps here and there. We want to make it look more natural, give it kind of a flow to the rose. See there, I went over the line on the outside, totally fine. It's great, that's what we want. Once you've piped all of this excess, then you want to add some details to the leaf area with that same green icing and a number 2 tip. Then let the entire thing dry for at least 6 hours. Overnight is preferable. You can see I have a very well-used paint palette. It has lots of dried food coloring on it. To start with, I want to make kind of a puddle of muddy brown food coloring. I'm going to add quite a bit of water because I'm going to be using quite a bit of this food coloring. Once I have it thinned out in the color I want, I'm going to take it up on my brush and I'm just going to paint it into the corners where my rose petal details meet the background cookie. I want it to be really thin, actually, kind of really watery, so that it creeps back into those corners without me having to do a lot of work. You can add more food coloring if it's not dark enough. You can water it down if it's too dark. Don't worry too much about getting it perfect right away though, because we're gonna fix that in just a second. If you find that you have it's too dark in some places, which for me this is a little bit dark in some places, I'm gonna just wash your brush out, dry it a little bit on a paper towel, and then use that barely damp brush to essentially erase some of the food coloring that you just put on there. If it gets too saturated with food coloring, wash your brush out again and then dry it on the paper towel to erase a little bit more. Once you feel like it's where you want it to be, again, rinse your brush and then sort of blend the food coloring that's on there into the middle spaces that didn't have food coloring to begin with. I'm going to do the same thing with the leaf area of the cookie. I'm making a greenish food coloring puddle, and then I'm going to paint it on the leaves where the top detail meets the bottom layer of the cookie. And also I'm going to paint where the red icing meets the green icing, just to kind of give it more dimension, like a shadowy effect. If you have puddles of icing on your cookie, use a paper towel to gently blot them, otherwise they will pit into the icing. But if it's just a light layer and can dry in 5 minutes, then you have this gorgeous dimensional rose cookie. If you liked this video, go ahead and subscribe down below for more great tutorials from LilaLoa. Thanks for watching.